After the play comes the goal.
Could be the match winner from Lionel Messi. Ronaldo! Aguero, they'll do it. It's a terrific goal.
After the goal comes the uproar. It's sports on 32 FM 94.9.
Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to today's edition of the program Scoreboard Reloaded, right on 32 FM 94.9. Well, you know you're listening to the voice of 𝐂𝐸𝐿 and SAMIES of the program. This lovely Friday afternoon. Today is the last day in the month of February of the year 2025. And you know that what definitely does the weekend serves us. Well, we take a look at what we expect for the weekend. You know, there are no English Premier League games. Rather, we would have FA Cup games set to go down this weekend. Starting from tonight between Aston Villa, they are at the Villa Park when they host Cardiff. But we talk about other European top 5 leagues. Where we talk about the Spanish La Liga, the French Ligue 1, the German Bundesliga, and the Italian Serie A. Games are set to go down. And for tonight, we would have Monaco against the Reims in the French Ligue 1. In Germany, Stuttgart will be up against the Bayern Munich. And also in Italy, Fiorentina will be up against the Lecce. Remember their last game, they suffered a defeat, and of course they actually lost the man in that game. Talking about Moiskin, the man who is their front runner. We'll talk about the highest goal scorer also that's in the Italian Serie A just after Retegui. But how will Fiorentina cope with 2 players now? So we have Bove and Moiskin out of that Fiorentina squad. Let's see how they fare later tonight, 8:45 p.m. against the Lecce. But we'll go back to the reactions in which we definitely had since the beginning of this week. Jamie Carragher, the former Liverpool defender, it's in the news once again. You know, definitely it's not for the best reasons as he degraded the African Cup of Nations. Well, the man so good, they named him twice. Talking about Austin 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐿. Well, he has also shedding his own weight as regards the statement made by Jamie Carragher. So on the show this afternoon, just like Peter promised, we'll take a listen to the words of William Troost-Ekong, the present captain of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and the man whom at the last edition of the African Cup of Nations there in Ivory Coast, he was named the best player of the tournament. We take a listen to what he also has to say about the statement issued by Jamie Carragher, as well as Austin 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐿 also speaking about that statement in particular. And then in the Nigeria Premier Football League, remember that there was a game which was stalled yesterday, but I can tell you that the result, the update from that game between Rivers United and Katsina United, well, it remains 1-0. And Rivers United, they've leapfrogged that's Shooting Stars to second. That's at the summit of the Nigeria Premier Football League. So as it stands, Remo Stars are still first with 51 points. Rivers United are second with 42 points. Same as Shooting Stars, who have now dropped into the CAF Confederations Cup spots with 42 points. But just trailing on the goal difference of 1 that's behind Rivers United. But for Rangers, who are the defending champions of the NPFL, they are fourth on the standings of the Nigeria Premier Football League with 41 points. Remember, I told Peter, or I said to Peter yesterday and to everyone who actually listened to us, that the contest or the quest now for Shooting Stars is not to lose their place in the qualification for the CAF Champions League, because as it stands, we don't know what the remaining 14 games thereabouts in the league would actually 12 games in the league would actually hold for the Oluyole Warriors, where we talk about the NPFL games. But up next for the Shooting Stars in the Nigeria Premier Football League, well, we know that it's that tricky tie where we talk about Monday Night Football in the Nigeria Premier Football League, where we host Rivers United, whom of course are second on the log of the NPFL. So definitely we'll discuss about all of these ones on today's edition of the program right on 32 FM 94.9. The program is Scoreboard Reloaded, and you are listening to the voice of 𝐿'Atimlay and SAMIES on the program this lovely afternoon. So before we go further, let's just take a listen to the words of that's William Troost-Ekong speaking about his own sentiment into what Jimmy Carragher has said. Let's take a listen to the words of William Troost-Ekong, the Super Eagles captain.
Listen, I think everyone is entitled to their opinion. I think it's important also for me to share mine. Representing 220 million people, I think the question we have to ask ourselves, we have 46 active African players in the Premier League, which is considered the most prestigious league in the world. Would it be the same without their major contribution? I think I've had the privilege of playing in 8 different countries, from the Premier League to the Serie A, to Holland, Belgium, Norway, Turkey, winning the league in Greece last year before coming here to Saudi Arabia. And the one thing that I found everywhere is that football unites people. I think it's very important to celebrate such a big tournament. I know how much it means to me. Even if I talk about my current teammate like Ademola Lookman, African Player of the Year, a player that colours Champions League football, that we know as a household name, his major dream still remains to win the AFCON. So I've been there 3 times now, bronze medal, silver medal, but I haven't had a chance to win it. So that's my ultimate goal, and that's how much it means to me and to all the kids growing up in Africa and Nigeria.
William, correct me if I'm wrong, stadiums and pitches, are they as good as the Premier or some of the big tournaments, the Euros? When I've watched it sometimes in the early stages, I'm like, God, the pitches are not very good.
Yes. No, of course, we faced challenging things. I think for the last 3 tournaments, I've seen constant improvements. I think the climate is very difficult. And I think, that's something that you have to adjust to. And I think for players at any level, makes it even more hard to win it. So I think that's also why you see players like Mohamed Salah, ex-players who've gone on to win the tournament, always say the difficulty that comes with the tournament. However, the last one in Ivory Coast was, I thought, in my opinion, fantastic. Even the coverage, I think there were over 2 billion viewers worldwide. And I can only anticipate how that's going to grow towards the tournament in Morocco at the end of the year and how much we should be looking forward to that.
William, tell me, mate, just a wee side issue. I was at that European final last year where Lookman scored that hat-trick, and I've got to say,
brilliant,
fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I want to ask you, mate, is a little bit, do you think, of some of the comments about AFCON itself? Because the tournament, I'm not sure, and I might be wrong, and please tell me I'm wrong if I am. I'm not sure the tournament is covered perhaps as well as it should be. Certainly in the United Kingdom, but perhaps Europe. And I would also include the Copa America in that as well, which is, without doubt, it's a great tournament as well. So it's perhaps a little bit of it down to the fact that the tournament isn't covered as well in the UK.
Yes, I think so. And I think that it's going to be a beautiful challenge for all of us who have this voice to share our opinion and to talk about it this year coming up, how we can improve that, because I think it's an underrepresented tournament. And I know how much it means to all the players that, like I said, colour our leagues and have become household names for the football that we love. And I think it's within our job and, platforms like these, wonderful being here at TalkSport, to talk about it and trying to increase the coverage, because I think that's what a tournament like AFCON deserves to have.
And William, tell me a little...
there we listened to the voice of the captain of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, William Troost Ekong, speaking about his own sentiment as regards what Jimmy Carragher said. Well, you listened to him well there, saying that his whole ultimate dream, his goal, is to win the African Cup of Nations with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Yes, remember that for William Troost Ekong, he has won the bronze medal, he has won the silver medal of the African Cup of Nations, but that's a gold medal is still eluding him. Well, he also went on to mention the likes of Mohamed Salah, even the current African best player, talking about Ademola Lookman wanting to win the African Cup of Nations. But on the show this afternoon, I have Blessing for who are also joining me all the way from Lagos on the show this afternoon. And well, maybe for the entirety of this week, we've not had that conversation between as regards what Jimmy Carragher as I said, as regards the African Cup of Nations. But it would be so great to listen to what Blessing also has to say as regards the statement by Jimmy Carragher. And also, we know that 𝐃𝐈𝐒 Okocha will still have his voice, definitely, to take a listen to what he also said as regards the statement issued by Jimmy Carragher. So let's take a listen, or let's join Blessing for what we're on the show this afternoon. Good afternoon, Blessing.
Yeah, good afternoon, Samis. It's good to be on the show with you this lovely Friday afternoon.
Well, definitely. So great to have you also join us. But as regards the statement issued by Jimmy Carragher, the African Cup of Nations, what do you make of that?
For Carragher, it's a risk of ignorance, honestly, for him to come out and say the AFCON has no importance or is not, it cannot be said in the same category as the Euros or as the Copa America. It's ignorance, and it's so sad that he has refused to educate himself. He has refused to see from other perspective, and he has decided he's going to die on that hill, that the AFCON is not as important. But again, I think to myself, as a player himself, he understands the importance of being in some of these events, some of these tournaments. In fact, not some, majority of the tournaments, all the tournaments that the national teams are involved. He understands what it means to play in those tournaments, and then again to be able to win a trophy in that particular tournament. But for Carragher, I don't think he won any major trophy in his career. Major trophy in the sense of with England, the 3 Lions of England. I can't remember Carragher winning any, so I can understand maybe he doesn't know what it feels like. Because if you go ask Lionel Messi for all the things that Messi achieved, there was just one thing, if not two, that he was still waiting to do, which was to win the Copa America, which he did first in 2019, and then 3 years later winning the World Cup, all with Argentina. And he will tell you, for all of the things that he's achieved in his life, none of his achievements comes just a mile close to what it meant to put on the colors of his national team and also to be able to win trophies for them. So for Carragher saying, that the AFCON, he wouldn't put AFCON in the same breath as the Euros or as the Copa America is ignorance, honestly. It's ignorance. And this ignorance in this particular situation is not because he has refused to educate himself, even though there's been superior arguments pointing to how, what he has said is not right. Now, everyone has an opinion. You have a right to your opinion, but if you are getting multiple educations and multiple facts to back up reasons why you are wrong, then you should be able to see from this perspective and shift ground. But he has refused to do that. So I think the loss is on him, actually.
Well, definitely. From the statement also issued by 𝐃𝐈𝐒 Okocha, the man so good they named him twice. Well, he said, well, you pick role models. I don't think, probably Jimmy Carragher would be for many. Because what has this man, how did he even define football in his own way? Do you have any fond memory of Jimmy Carragher? I know you might have one. And then when you talk about own goals or being dribbled past. But what other fond memory do you have of Jimmy Carragher?
I mean, that's a bullet coming from 𝐃𝐈𝐒 Okocha right there. And honestly, he has a point, really, because just that I may not really agree with the way he puts it, saying that it's the kind of player that you don't want your son to be like. I mean, come on, I don't think he's that bad as that in these days, especially with Liverpool. But I do understand where the side is coming from. I understand where, the uproar is coming from, because you cannot put something that other people stole, you cannot put it down. Things that people hold in high esteem, you cannot put it down and reduce it to nothing, and then you are called out on it and you're standing your ground and saying, yeah, that is the way it's going to be. So yes, I understand where that is coming from. But to be fair, I don't think Carragher was a bad defender in his days. Nah, it wasn't. Especially if you remember the Liverpool years, I think was in 2005,
The Champions League final against Milan.
2016. Yeah, even that season where the Gerrard clipped and lost the Premier League title. Come on, Carragher was not a bad defender in his days. But yeah, I understand where the outrage is coming from because it says something that honestly should not be said. And I think I also saw it's not Joey Barton who came out to defend him again.
Another own goal.
I mean, Barton's case is even serious because I remember how much of a bad temper he had. You know,
yeah, red cards and all that.
At some point. Exactly. So again, it's from a place of ignorance, and it's at the point where ignorance is no longer bliss because there are several things to educate. Several people have come out to educate in giving and backing those that education with facts and figures, and they've just refused to bow. Because if you have to look at it on the surface level alone, the AFCON is in the same category as the Euros, in the same category as the
Asian Championship,
the Oceania Nations Cup is in the same category as the Copa America, in the same category as Copa America for the America. So it's if you are going to look at it at the surface level, but not to talk of something that players aspire to be to go to attend. They put on the colors of their country and they are proud to wear it. Come on. It's ignorance, honestly, and so disappointing that it's coming from a place like Jamie Carragher. Because I look at Jamie Carragher on that other show that has 𝐾𝐈𝐒𝐿, Michael Richards. I mean, maybe not so much of analysis is done there on theory, maybe not so much of analysis they get to do there, but they have a very good show. When it comes to the other shows where it's got to give the actual facts and analysis, you found him wanting a couple of times. So.
Well, I said to Peter yesterday that 𝐾𝐈𝐿 and Michael Richards are still going to call him out when they get to that part of that show. But let's move away from that and then just come home to talk about Nigerian football. This is the Niger Premier Football League now. Well, we had two games go down yesterday in the NPFL. And from those results of games, it was that's Bendel Insurance that defeated that's Ikorodu City yesterday by 3 goals. That's 2 goals to 1. And yesterday, the game concluded in the early hours of today. That's Rivers United against Katsina United. They won by 1-0. And with that result, Rivers United, they've leapfrogged, that's Shooting Stars, 2 seconds on the log, with a goal difference of that's a 6, and compared to Shooting Stars 5. And now, what would that result mean? Because you look at the standings of the NPFL now, second and third, we both have the same points, but just seated in different positions based on a goal difference.
Well, for me, I think I remember saying on Monday that last result that Shooting Stars had, the last result that they had at home, I can't remember.
Against Lobby Stars.
I
Lobby Stars.
haven't really seen much of the NPFL. Yeah, I've not seen much of the NPFL this season anyway. But I remember saying on Monday that result where they drop points at home is always going to find a way to come back and fight them in the behind. And I think that's exactly what we are seeing, or what we are seeing. From the performance, from Rivers United performance, because if you leave a loophole at any point in time, you can expect your competitors to also want to find a way through to catch you, off guard, and that's exactly what they are doing. Now, it is not done and dusted. To be honest, it is not. It's not decided really because there are still how many games left to play in the season, which means that
12 games. 12 games left to play.
12 games. And the truth is, both teams are not going to go unbeaten, are they? Definitely not. They're going to drop points at somewhere. But I think what Shooting Stars need to really, fight towards now is to ensure that they don't drop any more points at home first and foremost, and then look forward to places away from home where they can, pick points to augment. Again, like I said, Rivers United are still going to drop points. Even Shooting Stars will drop
next game for Shooting Stars is against the Rivers United on Monday. Yeah, in Ibadan.
Exactly, and that's a huge opportunity for them to actually take back their sport, quote unquote, if I can put it that way. It's a huge opportunity for them to get it done. But again, knowing the kind of opponent that Rivers United is, and knowing how now that they themselves have had a sniff of that position, it might be really difficult for Shooting Stars. But again, what they have to do is ensure that they do not drop points in any way whatsoever if they have to have a chance to finish in the top three at the end of the season.
All right, for Sunshine Stars also, they occupy the 18th position on the NPFL standing, and that technical crew, they've been given a 3-match ultimatum to actually win games, or they have been shown the exit. That's in the NPFL, talking about Sunshine Stars. But let's quickly go to the European scene. It's not the best of results for Ruud van Nistelrooy with Leicester City, and I actually look at it that maybe if he had remained with Manchester United, maybe this sort of performance wouldn't come his way. And also Ruben Amorim staying put there in Portugal. But now, in the last 12 games of Leicester City, they've lost 11 games. That's talking about their quest of staying in the English Premier League. 2-0 they lost yesterday to the hands of West Ham. And the question I just want to ask you, or I want to get your reaction, is the Premier League that's too big of that's a league or a phase for the newly promoted sides?
Sorry, can you recall? I lost you for a bit there.
For newly promoted sides into the top flight of English football, is the Premier League really a big league for them, or it's a step higher than their level of performance?
I wouldn't say it's a question of being a bigger league or being a step higher or a step lower. It's a function of having money enough to be able to compete. That is the long and short. That's the summary of it all. Because we are in where we are right now in terms of football is where you've got to be able to spend money to compete. Now there are anomalies. There are certain situations where some teams don't have to spend too much, and then they're still able to bring out results. Anomaly, but you have to be able to spend. But how many of these newly promoted sides can actually compete with the top sides in terms of spending? Look at Wolves, a team that's normally a middle table team, for instance. They have found themselves struggling, fighting for relegation. You cannot put that any further away from the fact that they've not been able to do much in terms of quality spending. Now, is it player recruitment? Is it improving the general general backrooms welfare and what have you? That's why I feel like some of these newly promoted teams get to struggle when it comes to the the Premier League. It is always about the inability to spend as much as those teams that they meet there. That's always where the problem is for them. And that's simply, it's not really a question of who is so high level. If you find any of those newly promoted teams or maybe some of the small teams and they're able to bring up money, they're able to spend, compete financially, then you see that they're able to also, find their feet, in the league and they're stabilized. An example is Brentford. Since Brentford gained promotion, I mean, look at how they have been they have maintained status quo. Let me put it that way, because I recall it was 2 seasons ago thereabout, they also were in relegation dogfight. Eventually, they were able to stabilize, and they are still in the Premier League now. So, to me, it's not a question of being in level too much. It's mainly about having the financial power.
But for Leicester City, they spent quite a lot during the summer.
What kind of quality? What is the kind of quality? Do they have £100 million to put on certain players that will change their game? No. Do they put 50 million on players that are of quality? What is their squad depth like? Does it compare with the teams that have been in the Premier League for, let's say, the past 5, 6, 7 years? So it's not just, again, spending, but also spending on qualities, spending wisely. That is also very, very important.
Okay, as much as that is important for squads, for teams that have spent quite a lot. For Manchester City, they were the biggest spenders that's during the winter transfer window. And for Manchester United, we know their squad value. Both sides definitely will turn to the FA Cup glory to save their poor season. Remember that Manchester United, they are a mid-table team for now, while Manchester City are on the quest of qualifying that's for the top 4. That's in the English Premier League, just for a chance to be in the UEFA Champions League next season. But games would begin from tonight. We'll talk about the English FA Cup. That Aston Villa will be up against Cardiff. I think this should be a walkover. Well, not a walkover like that. That's an easy-peasy game for Aston Villa when they take on Cardiff. And the news that I got from the camp of the Villains is that Marcus Rashford he wants to make his transfer. That's from Manchester United to Aston Villa, a permanent one.
Well, you would understand why I want that, knowing that all the troubles that he's had with under Miguel Amorim, he struggled to he has struggled so badly to find his place under the new manager, and I expected a lot from him anyway. It looks like he's been able to find joy again. Like he's back playing at a place where he feels like he enjoys his game. So yes, if that's the case, I mean, I don't see any problem in him trying to convert his loan deal to a permanent deal. But the question is, how much will Manchester United be willing to cash out on him? He's an homegrown player, which means that for whatever amount of money they get to sell him for, they make profit over him. But then again, you consider how much he's earned in terms of being one of the highest earners in the team. Just suppose that with what they'll be willing to collect in terms of transfer fee. So it's both ways actually. Again, you never can tell what happens in the summer. If Amorim decides, you know what, can we start afresh? Can we see if we can actually build a relationship afresh and see if that can translate to the team, helping the team at the end of the day? But I do understand from Rashford's perspective. It looks like he's enjoying his game again, and really, they say if it's not broken, don't fix it. So maybe that's what his direction is looking at.
Well, our other sides are set to take on each other in the FA Cup of 5th round. We have Crystal Palace against the Millwall, Preston North End up against the Burnley, and AFC Bournemouth. They'll be up against the Wolverhampton Wanderers, while Manchester City would host the Plymouth Argyle, the team that dumped out Liverpool. Newcastle will be up against Brighton and Hove Albion. Manchester United against the Fulham, and Nottingham Forest would also be up against the Ipswich Town. That's in the 5th round of the English FA Cup. And quickly for Kylian Mbappe, Real Madrid's manager, that's Carlo Ancelotti, said that Kylian Mbappe is fit to start the game. That's against the Real Betis this weekend after missing Real Madrid's Copa del Rey game midweek. But it's actually going to be a great contest. When we see Anthony, who had his red card that's rescinded over the course of the week, and he would be also available for that Pellegrini to face off against Real Madrid. So what games are you looking out for later this weekend? We'll talk about European football.
It has to be in the Spanish La Liga, where we have Atletico Madrid up against Athletic Bilbao, and for a couple of reasons really, and the major one is being Atletico Madrid having one of the best defenses in the, if not the best actually, in the Spanish La Liga this season. They've considered just 16 goals, which is the least. Their goalkeeper Jan Black is one of the best in terms of the saves percentage. In terms of clean sheets, I think it's second to Alex Ramiro in terms of a number of clean sheets that he has already. So yes, that's one big game I'm looking forward to, and also because Athletic Bilbao have been on quite a run. They've been on quite a run. They have won 16 games. Is it 16 or 19 games actually? They've been unbeaten rather in about 16 or 19 games, which has been some incredible run for them. The last time they did it was in the 1930s. To tell you how much of an improved season it has been for them, and it's not really because a certain Nico Williams is at the top of his game, because he hasn't exactly been able to hit that height since the start of the season and after the Euros. But again, they've got a certain Oyan Sunset who has been absolutely amazing, an attacking midfielder who's got the eyes of some of the big clubs, all over him. But somehow he's been able to raise his game this season to the extent that he gets into good positions, he's able to score goals. He has 13 goals to his name as an attacking midfielder, the highest in the Athletic Bilbao team. It's just incredible how the dynamics have worked well for that team. And also looking at Iñaki Williams, who is the lead assist provider for the team with 8 assists. He leads the entire team in terms of chances created as well. He and his brother actually, they lead the team in terms of chances created. I'm just really looking forward to see how this attack, how this attacking side in Bilbao can be able to function against a very, very defensive Atletico Madrid. Remember, Atletico Madrid, they drew Barcelona 4-4 in the Copa del Rey, the first leg of the Copa del Rey semi-final. Yeah. Although it was really some, change. It was kind of like a changed team. You wouldn't say that was their main team. But again, I think it shows that they are a team that can actually be caught at any point in time. But yes, I'm looking forward to that game.
Well, thank you so much, a blessing for joining us on today's edition of the show. We'll meet again, and that's on Monday. Scoreboard Reloaded. Thank you so much. But just before I leave, disgrace the referee. That's Kut. He has been banned by UEFA until the year 2026. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined us on today's edition of the program. Do enjoy the rest of the day, and bye for now.
Whether it's a cat